Hello, this is the Cobra quiet shredder, the QS2500, and this is the box that it arrives in. So we're going to unpack it, take everything out and show you how to put it together so you can start shredding all those prunings from your garden. Everything we need is in here, including of course the instructions and the manual there, so make sure you keep that safe, and then it's a case of getting it out and we can start to put it together. So we've got wheels that go onto the frame so you can transport it around the garden, and all the fixings and the little legs are there. And then this box is what catches the shreddings when you're using it, and that houses the actual shredder for transportation. So we put that lever down and this will slide out. So we take that out, that's for when we're shredding, and then that just carefully lifts out at an angle like that and we can put it down. Now to make this up, it's easier if we actually do it upside down. So we're going to turn this upside down. So just to protect it, I'm going to use a bit of the packaging there, just so we don't get it dirty on the lawn, and it would stop it scratching if you were doing it on concrete. So that is going like that, and then we can start with the framework. There's a little block sticks out there which goes into this recess on the frame. So that is the way that it goes. And it's a case of just putting it on into position like that. So when we've got it on there in position, lined it up, there are 6 screws that we've got in this little bag here, and they screw down through and secure it into place. So for that you need a crosshead screwdriver. So I'm just going to take those out, and they're very clear. You can see the holes, in fact they're numbered there. So it's just a case of popping in a screw to place, lining it with the hole below, and then tightening that into position. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 numbered, and then there are 2 more in the middle. So we've got the 6 in total that we need to put into place. Once they're all tight, that is the framework and the shredder connected together. So now we can put the little legs on and the wheels, and the little legs are just these here, very simple, and they just fit on there, the shape as you can see, and we line it with this hole here, and there are 2 long bolts or screws. So basically push that one through and then start that into there, and it's a nylock. It's likewise here. To fit the wheels is very simple. We've got a pair of wheels that go on the back, which obviously allow us to move the shredder around the garden. You'll get a long bolt for each one, a spacer, a washer and a nut, and then a little wheel cap that goes on at the end. So to fit it, we put the long bolt through the hole from the outside inwards like that, and then just turn it over and put on the spacer, and that pushes down inside the plastic moulding like that, and then push that through the hole in the frame, flat washer, and then we've got the nut that goes on. So just start that by hand, and then we need 2 spanners for this. We need a 12 and 13 millimeter spanner. You might think that seems a bit odd, but it means if you've only got 1 spanner set, you will have a 12 and 13 in it, so it's quite sensible really. So we just pop those on there and give it a tighten. Not too tight because we want the wheel to spin. Maybe just 1 more turn like that, and then we obviously repeat that on the other side, and finally we then put in our little red cap there just to protect the nut, and there's 2 little grooves, and it just simply pushes in like that, and that's it, clips into place, and that's there. So everything fixed now, so we're going to put it on its front. So I just find it easier to roll it forward. There's a handle at the back, and you can then just lift it up like that. So, and then got a long strong cable here, and the idea is then you've got your wheels and you can trundle it around and down the garden. So what we need to do is to get it ready now for actually shredding the prunings from the garden. So very important, again, read your instructions, and you'll notice here that it does clearly tell us, because this is what adjusts the cutting blade, it tells us before using, adjust the distance between the blade and the shield and make sure that the adjustment knob is fixed. So to do that is very simple. It's got a locking collar here, so we release the locking collar, and then the red knob is wound out. So that is very, very important. You can lock it into place if you want to for the time being. And the reason we do this is because when it comes packed, the blades are very tight together, and if you start it up like that, it could cause damage. So we slacken it off, and then when we start to put some shreddings through it, we can gradually tighten it until it's cutting them nice and cleanly, and then we can use this locking collar to secure it in the right position. So I can't stress how important it is that you slacken that off before you start the machine. The controls are on the top on this little panel here, and it's all very simple, but again, refer to the manual if in doubt. We've basically got a red button and a green button. The red is stop, the green is go. And this shredder has a reverse, so should you get a jam with a piece of wood in there, you can reverse it out without causing any damage. But it's important that when you're running in the forward mode, before you go into reverse, you put it into stop. Then you can push the button here to reverse it out, stop it, and then put it back into drive and the green button, and away you go. So it's a bit like changing gear in a car. You'd go into neutral before you go into another gear or reverse. So it's very simple to use. There's also the slot here where the waste will go when you're putting it in. It's quite narrow, so it's designed so you can't get your arm down as a safety feature, because down there is a very sharp blade. If you do get something that does need pushing down, then it comes with this little prodder there, and you can just push things down, and that isn't long enough to reach the blade, so that won't be damaged. And before you can do any shredding, the collection box has to be fitted in the back. It won't shred without this. Again, as a safety feature, it just slides in the back there, and to lock it into position, we put it into the on position, and then that makes a connection, and we're now ready to shred. The control panel is very simple to use here. So we've got a little button here that gives us a forward and reverse. So that would be forward for normal shredding, and reverse if we get a blockage. And then we've got the green button, which is to start it, the red button to stop it. What is important that is if you are shredding something through there and it gets jammed, you can reverse it, but to stop it, always push the red button first, then select reverse, and then start it again with the green button. When you've got it out, stop it, put it back into forward, and away you go again. And that is quite important so that you don't cause any damage. Should for whatever reason the shredder trip out, then there is a reset button there that will pop out, and you'll see it, and just simply push it back in to reset the machine, and then away you go again. I'm just going to show you how to adjust the blade initially to start off, because we've slackened it off at this stage, and we need to now bring it back together so that the rotating blade just touches the fixed plate on there, and that's what causes the cut. So we've got to do it very gently. So I'm just going to wind in the red knob there while the motor's running. So I'm going to turn it on, and as soon as I hear that sort of gradual contact with the two bits of metal, I will switch it off, lock it into position, and then we can try it with some shredding. So switch it on, and then just carefully and gently wind it in. And you just heard it there, we can just hear it touching. So I'm going to switch it off, and then using the black lock-in ring there, we can lock that into place. So we should now just have a gentle touching of it. And I think we can try some shreddings through it. And if it's still not cutting right, we can just do a fraction tighter, and we can see how it goes. So let's try something. So this is a piece, you can put quite woody pieces in to it. So it's switch it on and feed it down, and it will pull it in automatically. So the blade going around, and that's chopping that and dropping it into the box below. You can put a dry woody piece in here, so it just takes it in and pulls it down. If you do need to push it, we've got this, remember, so we can just push that in down, and it will pull it through. If we do need to reverse for whatever reason and it jams, we stop it, and then we reverse the switch, and it will loosen it off. You can take it out, stop it, put it back into the drive, and then you can start to feed more through. And as you can hear, it's very quiet to use. And if we just have a look in there, to take the tray out, we just put the lever down to the off position, and we can see that it's chopped all those prunings up there into pieces that are much easier to dispose of. When we put the drawer back in place, then we've got to make sure that it's fully in position at the top to start. It will start there. If for whatever reason you don't take it right to the top, it won't start. So it's just a safety feature on it. So all the way to the top, and then we can start it and away we go again. One final thing, should you get a blockage that you can't release by reversing the cutting blade, this front panel takes off and you're supplied with an Allen key. So I'm just going to take this off and show you inside. Before we do that, of course, always unplug it from the mains. That is vital for safety reasons. So it's just a case of taking out the 4 bolts with the Allen key, and then we'll see the blades. And to take the front plate off, we just have to give it a bit of a wiggle. Just gently ease that off, and there we go. So just take that leaf out. So this is the main cutting blade that rotates there in an anti-clockwise direction, and it's cutting onto this plate. And that's why it was important that we adjust it, because for transit, it's tight, very tight into there. So we have to slacken it off so that when it does rotate, it only just cuts onto this blade there, so you get a lovely clean cut. So if you do get a blockage, you can clear it out. It's also good to take this off occasionally, so that, you know, before storing it, you can just make sure that it's wiped down to prevent any corrosion in there. So you're putting it away in good condition, ready for when you next need it. And then it just simply goes back on into position, and you can tighten it up, and you're ready to start shredding again. So make sure that you put that plate back on, and then you're ready to go again. So happy shredding with your Cobra Quiet Shredder.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk, and always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.